What if everything you believe about women was designed to keep you blind?
Not just by culture, not just by media, but by nature itself. Arthur Schopenhauer, the philosopher who stared into the abyss of human desire, saw something so unsettling, the world still isn't ready to hear it. He didn't just criticize women, he dissected them. He stripped away the poetry, the romance, the illusions, and what he found was raw, disturbing, and dangerously close to the truth. Schopenhauer believed that behind the soft smile, behind the delicate charm, was something far more ruthless, not evil, not malicious, but strategic. He saw women not as the fairer sex, but as nature's perfect instrument, built to attract, to deceive, to secure the strongest man, then drain him to ensure the survival of her offspring. He wrote, "Women exist in the main solely for the propagation of the race. Their role is biological, not intellectual."
Harsh? Yes. But what if you dared to ask why he said it? To Schopenhauer, the world was ruled not by reason, but by the will to life, an unconscious, primal force that drives every living being to survive, to mate, to multiply. Everything else, love, morality, dreams, was a costume. And in this brutal framework, women didn't lie, they performed. Every gesture, every glance, every tear, a silent negotiation for survival and advantage. He called beauty a trap, femininity a strategy, and love a biological trick to keep men in the game long enough to reproduce. The man wasn't angry, he wasn't betrayed, he was awake. He said, "Marrying means to halve one's rights and double one's duties." To him, women weren't villains. They were vessels of nature's deepest agenda. And men? They were pawns who mistook the game for love. You've been told women are mysterious, that they're emotionally deep, spiritually wise. But Schopenhauer warned, mystery isn't depth, it's camouflage. And what terrifies men most is that he might be right. You want to believe in love, but what if the truth was designed to be unlovable? Stay with me, because the next part, it only gets darker. Schopenhauer didn't just study women, he studied why men fall for them. And what he uncovered was humiliating. He argued that most men never love a woman for who she is. They love how she makes them feel. Desired, wanted, chosen. But here's the twist. That feeling is manufactured. It's an illusion. To Schopenhauer, women's power didn't lie in strength or status. It lay in their ability to be desired. Their power was passive, and yet it controlled the world. He wrote, "The sexual impulse is the most perfect manifestation of the will to life. It enslaves even the greatest of men." Think about that. Philosophers, generals, kings, all reduced to fools by a smile, a glance, a touch. And the most brutal part? She knows exactly what she's doing. Nature has given her everything, beauty, softness, vulnerability, not as gifts to you, but as tools to influence you. He called it a refined form of power, the kind that never raises its voice because it doesn't need to. It makes men come to it, beg for it, fight for it. And in that struggle, a man loses himself. She doesn't need to conquer. She only needs to appear as the reward. But what most men never realize is that she is not the prize. She is the test. Schopenhauer believed that the man who lives his life in pursuit of women lives in chains, not because women trap him, but because he never understood the game. He mistook attraction for love. He mistook attention for meaning. And in doing so, he surrendered his own power willingly. Because a man who cannot control his desire will be controlled by the one who can. This is why Schopenhauer was feared, not for his hatred, but for his clarity. He didn't say women were evil. He said they were honest about what they want. It's men who lie to themselves, who dream of soulmates and fairy tales and unconditional love in a world ruled by instinct and exchange. And until that illusion is broken, men will keep chasing shadows, falling in love with strategies and calling it fate. Modern culture tells us women have been oppressed for centuries, that they've only recently begun to reclaim power. But Schopenhauer would have laughed at that idea. To him, women never needed political power because they already had biological power, and that power bends even the strongest men. He observed that women instinctively choose comfort over conquest, influence over effort, and manipulation over merit. And while men build empires, invent tools, and start wars, women control the desire that drives it all. He called it soft tyranny, a form of control so quiet, men thank them for it. Schopenhauer wrote, "In their hearts, women think only of themselves. Their whole being is adapted not for the great achievements of mankind, but for the continuation of it." What he meant is simple. Men think in terms of ideas. Women think in terms of survival. So while men chase truth, women chase leverage. And yet, modern men, still raised on fairy tales, believe women want to be equals. No, they don't want equality. They want options, more choices, more protections, more power with less responsibility. And why wouldn't they? Schopenhauer believed that women don't crave justice, they crave advantage, and they know instinctively how to play both sides. They'll say, "Treat me like a queen," then scream, "I'm just a poor girl," when accountability knocks. It's not hypocrisy, it's strategy. Men, on the other hand, are punished for trying to win. They're told to suppress their instincts, apologize for their strength, and hand over their authority, all while chasing women who secretly want strong, dominant men. You are being gaslit, told to play fair in a game that never was. Because when a man plays with reason and a woman plays with emotion, only one walks away with what she wanted. And this is where men fall hardest, believing that love is mutual, that attraction is honest, that women play fair. But they don't play fair. They play smart. And Schopenhauer's warning was brutal. If you don't understand what she really wants, she will take everything you have and call it empowerment. The game isn't changing. It's just being disguised with prettier words. And you are still losing. The clock is ticking. Schopenhauer called romantic love the greatest illusion of mankind, not because it's false, but because it's designed to feel true, even when it isn't. He believed love was not a sacred connection, not soul recognition, but a carefully evolved instinct to secure reproduction disguised as destiny. You think you chose her because she's special, but nature chose her to make you blind. Love, he argued, isn't noble, it's manipulative. It gives you the high so you ignore the cost. It fills your head with dreams while emptying your future of reason. And worst of all, it makes men believe they are the authors of their feelings, when, in fact, they are being written by biology. She didn't have to lie to you. Her existence was enough. Her scent, her softness, the way she laughed at your jokes, the moment she looked up at you like you were the only man in the world. You were already hers. And here's the brutal truth Schopenhauer saw. It's not that women are evil. It's that men want to be deceived. He wrote, "The sexual impulse blinds the intellect, destroys reason, and reduces man to a tool of the species. To love a woman, then, is to stop being fully conscious. You surrender logic for longing. You trade ambition for obsession. Men build monuments for love. They abandon empires for it. They kill, suffer, and self-destruct, all in the name of her. But does she feel the same? That's the part Schopenhauer found most unsettling. He believed women are far less prone to love in the same way. They don't fall into madness. They don't die for devotion. Because their love, if it exists, is always conditional. She loves what you can do, not who you are. She loves your strength, your status, your stability, not your suffering, not your soul. And if those fade, so does she. That's not hatred. That's selection. Nature didn't build her to love you unconditionally. Nature built her to choose wisely and move on quickly. You suffer because you expect love to be fair. But love isn't fair. It's a transaction. And Schopenhauer's crime was saying it out loud. So now ask yourself, was it really love? Or just a perfectly engineered illusion that you were too desperate to question? Because if you can't see the trap, you'll mistake it for paradise. And once you do, it's already too late. Stay awake. Once a man sees through the illusion, he can never go back.
He no longer falls for the fluttering lashes, the soft voice, the delicate gestures. He sees the mechanics behind it all. And suddenly, what once felt magical now looks mechanical. Schopenhauer believed that this awakening was both a curse and a freedom. A curse, because the world around you still worships the illusion. Your friends, still chasing. Your father, still paying. Your culture, still selling the fantasy like it's sacred. But once the veil is lifted, you realize she was never yours. It was never about love. It was always about leverage. And now, you are dangerous. Because the man who no longer believes the lie cannot be manipulated by it. He doesn't chase approval. He doesn't bow to beauty. He watches, detached, while the rest of the world begs for scraps of validation. This man begins to live on a different level. Schopenhauer called women the second sex, not to degrade them, but to remind men their values are not your values. You seek truth, they seek advantage. And when those two collide, it is always the man who bleeds, if he's unaware. So the awakened man walks a lonely path, but it is his path, no longer intoxicated by her beauty, no longer enslaved by her approval. He builds without distraction. He sees her interest as a signal, not a salvation. She tests him, but he doesn't take the bait, because he no longer plays the game for her affection. He plays it for his own freedom. And this is where Schopenhauer left his most haunting warning: marry, and you will regret it. Don't marry, and you will also regret it. In other words, there is no way out unscarred, but there is a way out awake, and that changes everything. Because a man who understands the game no longer needs to win her. He needs to win himself back. And that is something she can't take from you. Not anymore. Arthur Schopenhauer didn't hate women. He pitied the men who worshipped them. Because once you place her on a pedestal, you place yourself beneath her. Once you chase, you lose. And once you believe that your life is incomplete without her, she owns your soul. But Schopenhauer offered something more valuable than anger. He offered clarity, a way to see through the illusion and step beyond it. He wrote, "A man can be himself only so long as he is alone, and if he does not love solitude, he will not love freedom." You were never meant to be enslaved by longing. You were never meant to be broken by rejection or desperate for approval. You were meant to build, to ascend, to become. And every moment you waste chasing validation from a woman who doesn't even know what she wants is a moment you steal from your own potential. When a man stops chasing, everything changes. He sees through flattery. He ignores emotional traps. He stops negotiating with manipulation.
and starts negotiating with reality. He becomes calm, clear, focused, because he knows now women do not complete him. They reflect him. And if she doesn't reflect strength, depth, direction, she doesn't belong in his life. Schopenhauer never said you should hate women. He said you should understand them. And in that understanding, free yourself from the myths that keep you weak. Romance is not evil, but it must never replace truth. Love is not a sin, but it must never blind you to the contract beneath it. Because in the end, the awakened man doesn't reject women. He simply refuses to be ruled by them. And that makes him dangerous. Not to society, not to her, but to the lie. So here's the final truth. She is not your enemy. But if you fail to see her clearly, she will become your downfall. Schopenhauer saw it coming centuries ago, and you're still ignoring it. Wake up. Before she costs you your mind, your mission, and your manhood. The illusion is powerful, but your will must be stronger.